Welcome to the African bush, to your very own privately guided safari. This is Safari Live. Ready?
Standing by.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. You are live, you are live.
Welcome to all our schools who are joining us today. Great to have you on board for your very own safari. Please send me lots of questions. And, oh, it flew away. Naughty bird. I was going to show you a very pretty bird, but it's made a disappearing act. But let's keep going. James is out there looking for leopards. I'm going right down to the east to look for cheetah and hopefully some elephants. But is there something in the road, Vim? It does look like there is an animal in the road. It looks to be a warthog with some very tiny babies. Let's get a bit closer. Okay, now those babies are so small, they've probably been born in the last month or so, and hopefully they're not too skittish. But with this long grass, it might be a little bit difficult to see them. Baby warthogs are very cute, but all the babies here are, of course, always in danger, because baby animals are the things that leopards and lions and cheetahs like to eat. Okay, this is where the warthog crossed the road. There's a joke in here somewhere. Why did the warthog cross the road? Well, of course, to avoid me, Brent, and my cameraman, VM. So, great to have you with us. Now, where could this warthog have gone? Disappeared into the luscious, long summer grasses. Oh dear. Oh, we'll have to see what else we can find. Let's get off the main road. Now, this area, as you can see, is very thick and very green at the moment. Lots of butterflies around, lots of birds. And it's always a good place to look for a female leopard called Tundi. So what I'm doing is I'm looking on the road, I'm seeing if I can see any of her footprints. Okay. Well, we're going to keep searching for elephants, cheetah, leopards, and whatever other incredible creatures are out here. While we do that, let's go meet Tristan, who's walking around on foot.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to our sunset safari. My name is Tristan, and on camera with me today I've got Jandre, and we are out here on a bushwalk. So we are out to see what little things that we can find. We're going to be searching around these big open clearings that are close to camp and looking for any little signs of insects, spiders. Obviously we'll have a few birds that will fly around as well, and then maybe if we're lucky we might even come right with some of the bigger animals. It is an area where the elephants like to spend a lot of time, so sometimes we'll find them up here. We also have quite a few antelope species that head up into this area as well. So it should be a really, really good afternoon. The conditions this afternoon are absolutely perfect. There's a few clouds in the sky, but it is nice and warm, it's sunny, and there's not too much wind to speak of. So in terms of walking, these conditions are absolutely perfect. Generally we try and avoid walking too much in areas when it's very, very windy and it's cold. It's not normally the best time to walk, so these kind of conditions are perfect for that. Also, with the sun, we should have with the sun we generally see quite a lot of activity. Alright, so it should be quite nice for insects. Like I say, a lot of birds will be out because the insects are out. Also should have a lot of butterflies. So some of the students from one of the schools that has joined us today would like to know how hot it is. It's about 85 degrees Fahrenheit, so it is very warm, especially when you're standing in the sun. You'll find that most of the animals at this time are going to be trying to head towards shady areas where they can spend time now just resting until it cools down a little bit. So we'll probably find that as it gets a little bit cooler later in the afternoon, so the animals will then start coming out, particularly to clearings like this. They utilize these areas, one, for food, but they also utilize it as a place of safety. At the end of the day, when it's nice and open like this, those animals can see predators far easier than if they were in thickets where it's very, very dense and those predators can hide out. So at this stage, everything will still be in the shady areas feeding, but as it gets cooler, so we're going to start seeing them coming up this way. Alright, so while we were walking, I was just having a look at a big marula tree that's here in front of us, and you can actually see that this marula tree has a little bit of damage to it. So earlier I was saying to you guys that this is an area that elephants like to spend a lot of time, and if you have a look here, you can actually see that this tree is missing a whole lot of its bark. Alright, this would have been caused by elephants at some stage. So what would have happened is the elephant would have come in, it would have jabbed its tusk into this bark and pulled the bark away. And the reason why it's doing that is because, particularly in the winter months, when we have a situation where it's very, very dry and there's not as much grass or leaves or fruits as what we have now, there is a layer underneath this bark called the cambium layer. Now that cambium layer is full of nutrition, and it's where the plant will send its nutrients from its roots up to the leaves and back again. So for an elephant, it is the perfect place to find nutrients during those dry winter months. And so they'll strip off long strips of red bark, and they will then feed off that. Alright, so unfortunately with this tree, it's fortunate that the bark is all the way around, and so this tree will still survive. Should this bark be stripped all the way around, we will end up with a situation where it cuts that nutrient supply off, and therefore the tree will die. Alright, so luckily for this big marula, it's still alive and all is okay with that. Now, Providence Elementary would like to know what are all the mounds that are behind me and around me. Well, there's one mound that's just over here, so we're going to go and have a look. But these mounds are caused by termites.
Welcome back. We are moving through the eastern edge of Chitwa at the moment, and I'm looking for sign of with them at the moment. We haven't seen them in a while, so have a quick squiz around.
So sorry about that, guys. We had a little technical gremlin that creeped up into the network there. Our job here on the ground is often to do with safari things, and so we don't quite understand these technical things. They sometimes gremlins creep into our networks and crash things down. But anyway, as I was saying, this mound is basically formed by the termites when they are trying to construct a house. So what happens is a female termite that is hatched from one of the other mounds has wings, and it will fly to this area. Once she lands, she will release a pheromone or a chemical that will attract the males. Alright, so the males will be able to pick up that chemical on the wind. They then come and land here, and the two of them will start this little mound together. And what they do is, as they excavate down, they bring up particles of soil, mix it with their saliva and their feces, which causes like a cement. Alright, and they then start to pile those little particles of soil on one another until we get this really big structure that forms. Now, as they start, initially the growth of this mound is going to be very, very slow as they start to produce eggs. Now, these females, when I say they produce eggs, in the first year the production is not very good, but by the time she's about 3 years old, she can be producing as much as 30,000 eggs every single day. So if my maths is correct, that should be over 10 million eggs every single year, which is incredible. And so as she produces eggs, she's going to be producing a lot of workers, and those workers will basically be there to build this mound. And so slowly but surely they'll pile bits of soil on top of each other, and while they're doing that they will create tunnels and chambers. Now the tunnels and chambers are for two reasons. Obviously the tunnels is so that they can move around within this mound, but the chambers are there because these species of termites actually are fungus eaters. Alright, and so they need a chamber where they can basically grow their fungus. And so how they grow their fungus is when that female has traveled from a previous termite mound, she has taken a spore of that fungus and ingested it, and when she comes here, she harvest from that fungus. Alright, they are for the queen and for the baby, they will eat that. The workers and soldiers will actually eat the dung of the termites. Alright, when that fungus grows on that dung, it will break down the cellulose and lignin within the cells of a plant, and that is very, very difficult to do. So when the fungus is on it, it breaks it down for them, and they're able then to eat from that, which is incredible. Which is incredible. Alright, and with these mounds, at the moment you can see this one is completely covered in, which is generally just a good sign that this is a fungus grower. They don't have too many holes in their mound because they don't want too much air to escape, because the fungus grows really well in hot, humid environments. So it's perfect if it's closed in. Well, while I was talking about this mound, Eli would like to know if termites are dangerous. Well, Eli, the termites inside here, the soldiers, are the ones that we have to watch out for. They're not incredibly dangerous in that they will kill us, but they do have a nasty, nasty bite, and when they latch onto you, it's quite unpleasant. They will also sometimes release a sticky substance that can be very acidic and foul tasting, and so when predators try to eat them, they'll also then back away from it. But for us as humans, generally if you don't try break this mound open and you don't fiddle around, then you'll be fine. But if you do and those soldiers come out, you will have a few nasty, nasty, nasty bites. But that actually leads me to another point, was when they originally used termite mounds and back before modern medicine, when you had a cut, they would actually take those termites and break the heads off and make them basically bite that cut, and it would close it up and it would act like stitches. So instead of today where we get cut and we'll sew it up, with these guys they used to use their heads to be able to close that wound, which is quite incredible. So they're not too dangerous, but they can be a little bit painful if they get hold of you, so have to be a little bit careful around them. But it is an absolutely incredible system. This inside here, even though it looks like it's very, very small, is thousands and thousands and thousands of little termites. So Angelo, you would like to know how strong a termite is. Well, for their size, they are incredibly strong. Much like ants, they can carry multiple times their own body weight, so they are much stronger than what people are. But because of they're so small, they get very easily overpowered by many other bigger animals, so like humans, things that prey upon them, aardvarks, pangolins, birds, will be able to overpower them just because of the sheer size difference. But if you had to put termites at the same size as a dog, they would be very, very, very powerful, and probably in all likelihood would have taken over everywhere. They are incredibly efficient. Like I say, this is basically like the human body, this mound. You've got a queen that's like the brain, and she controls what goes on, and then you've got the workers, which is like your blood system. And then you have the soldiers, which is like your immune system, so it stops you from getting sick or hurt. And then you have the actual outer mound, which is like the skin. And so they actually protect themselves by building the structure and utilizing one another. So because they are very small and they are not big enough to deal with all these predators, if they combine together, they can be a lot more powerful and a lot better at protecting themselves and keeping themselves safe. But very, very nice. Like I say, one of the most interesting things we have here. I was actually reading an article the other day, and they were saying that some of these termite mounds are over 2,000 years old, and that's in parts of the Congo. So some of these termites, like I say, 2,000 years old. Can you imagine a mound or a house standing for 2,000 years? It just shows you how incredibly good these guys are at being able to build and to be able to keep that structure up and upright and solid for that amount of time. They did say, however, in that article of 2,000 years that the mound wasn't active for 2,000 years. So most of these termites, the queens will only live between 12 and 20 years, and generally there will be a secondary and then a tertiary termite that will breed in these mounds. But sometimes you find that they do die off before that, and so most of the time the termite mounds are only active for every 20 to sort of 60 years, and then they die off, and then they can be recolonized by other females at a later stage. So pretty incredible little structures. And the thing about them is, once the termites leave these mounds, you will find a situation where multiple other animals will start to use them. You'll find things like insects, lizards, snakes, birds, warthogs, hyenas, lion, leopard. They will all utilize this generally as a place for their young or for a place to protect themselves. You can imagine this really solid structure is a great place to hide out if you're a small little lizard or a little insect and things are hunting you. So vitally important to our area and our ecosystem, and one that we really need to look after. Earlier we were talking about elephants and the damage that they do to the trees. Now, they reckon that these termites, funny enough, in this system will eat more per day than what the elephants do combined. Now, when we talk about elephants in the Kruger system, we have over 18,000 elephants in this area. Now, each one of those elephants could easily consume probably on average about 100 pounds of food, maybe 150 pounds of food. So if we take 150 times 18,000, it is a lot of food. And to think these tiny little termites are actually feeding off more than what those elephants are every single day is pretty incredible. So absolutely amazing insect. They're really one of my favorites and vitally important to this area. So while we carry on looking for any little signs of insects and birds and possibly big large grey animals, we're going to go across to Brent and see what he's got for us.
We have made it all the way to the far east of our traverse, and we're heading down towards a water hole that the elephants often like to swim in and drink at. So we're going to go see. I haven't seen any nice fresh elephant tracks yet, but I'm hoping as we head a little bit further south we will get some of those tracks. This is also a good area for leopard and lion, and we are live, so you literally never know what's around the next corner. It's so green at the moment. Very beautiful, but sometimes that can make finding the animals a little bit more difficult because they are spread out. Hello, Aiden. Aiden would like to know what kinds of butterflies we can see in this bush. Well, the most common one, and I'll try find one for you now, Aiden, is one called a brown-veined white. But before we look at some butterflies, we've found an antelope. One of our biggest antelope here. Hello, madam. It's a female kudu. And she's got a bird riding on her back called an oxpecker that eats ticks and other things that bite her. And it's a red-billed oxpecker. But you can see she's getting very annoyed by all the flies. Oh, off she goes. She's trying to run away from the flies. She's not running away from us, but there were a lot of flies biting her side. Here we go. A female kudu, one of the biggest antelope we get here. Now, Aiden, I was trying to see. Just now there were butterflies everywhere. And now since you want one, I can't see any. Now, so a brown-veined white. Oh. There's one. There, flying off there. Oh, did it land? Well, there we go, Aiden. There's a brown-veined white, a very brief view of one. But we get lots of different butterfly species here. There we go. There's an African monarch flying towards us. Oh, they're so fast. Oh, and it's gone behind us. So the African monarch is on the same family as the American monarch, except your American monarchs migrate in masses of thousands. Ours generally stay in the same sort of area. Hello, Jenny. Jenny would like to know, what does the word safari mean? Now, the word safari comes from a language that is spoken in East Africa, called Kiswahili, and the word safari means originally a journey. The word safari means journey, so we're taking you on a journey through Africa. And if you want to say have a good safari in Wow, isn't that amazing? Journey, your name is a safari. So there we go, journey, your safari means a journey. And if you want to say have a good safari, or have a great safari or a good safari, you can do that by saying safari in Djuma means have a good safari or travel, a good travel or a good journey. So safari in Djuma journey. Now we're getting quite close to this waterhole now, and I'm starting to look, and we can see there are some elephant footprints in the sand, but they're not very fresh. And you can see how big they are. Let me jump out to show you. Now I've got big feet, and I'm quite tall. I'm 6'4" or so, and I've got size 12 feet, and a big elephant footprint is 2 of my feet. So you can see there's the elephant's footprint, and unfortunately this elephant is going that way, but it's not very fresh, so it's going away from the waterhole. Hopefully we'll find some more elephants coming towards it. Oh, and put my ears back in. Okay. Lasha would like to know, do elephants eat insects? They probably swallow a few by accident, but they don't eat insects. They eat grass and leaves and roots and branches and fruit. So they are what we would call a herbivore. So they don't eat insects, but they probably swallow a few insects by accident while they're eating leaves and grass. Okay, now we're about to arrive at the waterhole. There might even be some hippos here. Really excited. Let's have a look. It's just around the next bend. Now I also know there's some very cool birds at this waterhole. And even while I'm driving, you'll notice I'm always looking, my head is going from side to side in case there might be something else hiding in the bushes. Oh! On the road, it's the little Speaks hinged tortoise. Now, he's called a hinged tortoise because you can see at his back there's a little indentation. He's able to close the bottom flap to keep his legs protected if something's trying to eat him. He's looking a bit nervous now. Oh, where are you off to? He's reversing. They're like little mini tanks. Off he continues. Well, off the tortoise goes into the grass, and Journey, or should I say Safari, would like to know, do we feed our animals or do they find their own food? This is a wild area. It's 8.5 million acres, and we don't feed any of the animals. They all have to find their own food. Oh, I just spotted a hippo. So no elephants just yet at the water, but there are some hippopotamus. I want to make sure it's not a nervous hippo, so I'm going to stop a little bit further away. There we go. Hello, hippo. Getting nice and wet. Now, of course, hippos get sunburnt. That's why they live in the water. And you can see around their eyes and their ears a pink substance that they secrete, which is hippo sun cream. Oh, is he popped under? Let's see if we can get a bit closer. Now, Jude is wondering, why are hippos known to be aggressive when they aren't even carnivores? Well, Let's see if he pops up again. We'll just pop ourselves right here. Oh, Jude. Oh, there we go. Vm's got some Egyptian geese flying off. Now, those geese are... Oh, hello. There's the hippo. Up and down he goes. Now, hippos can be aggressive because they feel threatened, is normally the reason, Jude. And there's various different things because they're often in water like this. When they're in the water, they're not too bad. But when out of water, they feel a bit nervous. They feel a bit unprotected. So they can be quite aggressive. Oof, there he goes. Okay, well, that hippo, he's being a little bit nervous. So we'll go look at the bird's nest. But while we do that, Mrs. Amy wanted to know that she's heard hippos are the most dangerous animal in Africa to human beings. That's not entirely true. They're probably one of the most dangerous mammals to human beings in Africa. But in terms of animals, the most dangerous animal to human beings and the one that kills the most human beings in Africa is, of course, the Anopheles mosquito. That is the most dangerous animal in Africa, but hippos are probably one of the most dangerous mammals. Generally, it's fishermen in rural areas collecting their nets and things like that. They come into close contact with hippos, and of course they've got massive teeth. Now there we go. We've got some hard-working weaver birds. These are called village weavers, and they live in colonies. And there we go, you can see them busy building their nests. Now, the females can be very, very fussy, and if they don't like a nest that a male's built, they will tear it out, tear it apart, and you'll have to start again. It's a tough life being a weaver. Now, the reason they're nesting there over the water is for a bit of protection, make it a little bit more difficult for the snakes to raid their nests. There we go, lots of them busy building. They should be starting to have babies quite soon. Some of those nests look like they're completely finished. Well, that one's still finishing touches being applied, and hopefully for his sake the female doesn't rip it apart. Now, Alison is wondering, how big is a hippo's mouth? Alison, they can open their mouth to probably just about 1.6 to 1.8 meters. This is a big adult hippo bull, so he can really open his mouth up wide. Oh, he's having a snooze. Now, I noticed something hopping around right next to me. And, well, Keegan's also wondering, how fast is a hippo? Keegan, they can do about 50 kilometers an hour, so they're faster than Usain Bolt. They are very quick. Now, let's see how my catching skills are. Where did it go? There they went. They're not the fastest grasshopper out there, so normally they're not too difficult to catch. Come here. You got to be very careful. You don't want to hurt him. So I'm going to just change the way I'm holding him quickly so I don't hurt him and you can still see him. So you want to be very gentle. So I'm holding his big back legs that he uses to kick. Now you can see it was very easy for me to catch this grasshopper, and there's a reason that, and he's also really wonderfully colored, and that's the reason. And you can see he's got wings, but they don't really work. He can't fly, so he can only just really hop around. And he's called an elegant locust, and he is very elegant. I'm going to turn him sideways, and you can see all these really bright colors on him: red, yellow, orange. Those are all very important colors. Now, those are what we call aposematic coloring or colors, and it tells all the birds that he is really nasty to eat. So he's poisonous, and that's the reason he doesn't need to jump far, he doesn't need to be fast, he doesn't need to fly. It's because he's very poisonous. So I want to put him down now. Shame. Let's put him down, let him carry on. There we go. Oh, hop. He's fine. So you've got to be very careful, and you've got to be very gentle when you hold little creatures like that, because we don't want to injure them, but we still want to show you. So butterflies that are red and black and yellow and things like that are often also very poisonous. Hello, Hippo. To you too. are often very poisonous, so all those really bright colors are there to make sure that the birds and other animals know that they're poisonous so they don't eat them. Okay, well, no elephants at the waterhole today, so let's continue. Oh, Angelo was wondering, oh, sorry, I'll just turn down my radio quickly. Now, Angelo is wondering why those birds we saw flying over were called Egyptian geese. Are they from Egypt? Well, they are actually, Angela. They are one of the most widespread geese species in Africa, and they occur all the way from the Nile River in Egypt to Cape Town in South Africa. And so they do occur everywhere. Oh, speaking of birds, there's a very pretty little bird next to me, right on the edge of the water. Here we go. It's a little plover, a little 3-banded plover. Oh. And what they do is they feed off small invertebrates that occur around the edge of the water. So little bugs that are in the water, that's what they eat. Very pretty little guy. Okay, we're going to carry on seeing what else we can find. And while we do that, let's go to James, who is out and looking for leopards.
Hello everybody, my name is James and we're looking for leopards, as Brent said. Now we came into this area because we saw some vultures flying around. Now in your country, I think you call vultures buzzards, which are basically animals that eat things that are dead. And if you're looking for leopards, well, sometimes those vultures will come down and try and steal what the leopards have killed, because of course the leopards like to eat meat. And I'm looking around here and I can't see anything really that tells me that the leopards are here. So we're just going to do a little bit of a drive through here. Watch your heads, everyone. Alright, Craig is on camera. And we're just going to look underneath all the bushes and into the tops of them and see if we can't spot the spots of a leopard. Now, you can ask me any questions as you've been asking Tristan and Brent, so I'll be very happy to answer any questions that you have. Ah, here we go. Look. There's something dead, but that's been dead a long time. Now, Ellie, you want to know where in South Africa we're exploring? Ellie, we're exploring in a place called South Africa, which is the southernmost country in Africa, and we're in the Kruger National Park. Now, this is not going to be nice for you, everybody, so I want you to just be aware that it's quite ugly. It's a bit like looking at a steak when you're at the supermarket. But over there is a dead impala, but there's no leopard there, and I can see that that's been eaten and left alone already, and I'm pretty sure that whatever killed it has decided it doesn't want to carry on eating it. It looks like it's rotten, and I wonder if those leopards didn't have a go and then decide they didn't want to finish it. Anyway, what we'll do now is show you some living impala. Now, Gillian, you want to know if we name our animals. We do name some of them, Gillian, because we see some of them quite often. But that impala, I don't know if he had a name with his impala friends, but he didn't have a name with us because we didn't know who he was. But I'll show you some other impala. We don't name the impala. We name all of our cats because cats are what we call territorial, which means that they live in one area. They don't live in different areas, so we can see them often the same, in the same places, and so that's why we name them, and also they're easier to recognize. Now, here are some impala, and when we look at the impala, it's difficult to tell one from the other. So if we sit here and watch those beautiful impala over there, which are the most common antelope that we have here, well, it's difficult to name them because, of course, you know, one could be Ian and one could be Andrew and the other one Clarence and the other one Clifford and then Roger, but you'd never know the difference between them because they all look the same. Now, they can recognize each other. I'm not really sure how they recognize each other. I think it's probably got a lot to do with smell. I think strangers smell different to these impala. Well, that one's going to the loo. Laxa, you're wondering how it is that the vultures would steal the leopard's prey. They wouldn't. They would only go to the kill if the leopards had left. You're absolutely correct that the leopards would kill the vultures if they could get hold of them. So all they would do is wait until the leopards had finished and decided to move on, and then they would leave it alone. Right, we're going to continue. We don't have a very long time left with you, so I want to try and catch up with those leopards that we saw earlier. Now, Christian, you're wondering if a vulture is a type of prey for any kind of animal. Well, yes. I mean, those leopards would eat vultures if they can catch them. They're very difficult to catch, though. I suppose, you know what, if vultures found a dead vulture, then they would eat it, definitely. So I don't think that... There's not a huge number of creatures or birds that are big enough to kill a vulture. Maybe a big martial eagle might try and kill a vulture. But largely they don't have many predators, but they'll eat each other when they die. It's a bit disgusting, really, isn't it? Now, these leopards could be anywhere around here. They were around here this morning. We came to look earlier, we didn't find them, and now we're going to look again. Hello, Gracie. You want to know how fast a leopard is? A leopard, Gracie, runs at about 70 feet per second. That's as fast as it can go. That's 24 meters per second. Now, I'm just trying to work that out for you in kilometers per hour or miles per hour, but basically it must be around about 45 miles per hour. But they can't do that for very long. Hello, Kaysen. You're wondering if anybody's ever been eaten here before. Kaysen, there are one or two incidents of people being eaten here, yes. No one I know's ever been eaten out here. And you know what happens is that people sometimes get eaten when they wander around here at night time. And they'd only wander around here at night time if they were trying to steal things, or if they were trying to poach animals. Sometimes they get eaten by lions and hyenas, but that really doesn't happen very often, and it's only when human beings are being very silly that they get into trouble like that out here. It's much less dangerous, for example, living here in the wilderness than it is living in a big city, for example, where you could be set upon by criminals. We're going to just drive down the road here and look under every single bush, into the branches of every single tree, just to see if we can't spot a leopard. Now, the leopard, the last time we heard, was a very old tree on the right-hand side of the road here. And I don't know, you know, we looked in there earlier and I didn't see her. So what we need to do is make sure that we look on the ground and that we look in all the other trees and that we listen very carefully to whether or not perhaps there's some angry birds calling, because if a bird sees a leopard, they get very upset. They don't like to see leopards, because they know leopards, of course, are predators. Sometimes it's easy to find them, sometimes it's very difficult. So we'll just have a quick look through here, and maybe we'll be lucky, and maybe we'll have to look a little bit harder. What I'm going to do is watch the ground. Ooh. What I can see is the track of a leopard going that way, but it doesn't look like it's a very new track. And I think these leopards have been going up and down and up and down. So let's go down this way for a little while and see if we aren't lucky this way. And you all know what a leopard looks like, of course, so you need to help me look for it. It's golden coloured with black spots and big teeth. Drive very slowly through here. If you want to look for leopards, you've got to drive slowly. Ooh, more tracks on the road here. Ava, you say, what is the number one thing that those leopards eat? Ava, you know what? They eat those impala quite a lot, and especially the baby ones. They like to eat baby impalas because baby impalas are easy to catch. So that doesn't sound very nice, I know. But it is a good thing for the leopards to be around when the baby impala are around, because it's easy then for their mother to feed them. Now, these leopards that we are looking for are going to turn 1 year old on Thursday. So we really want to find them so we can wish them a happy birthday. We don't want to miss them on their birthday, which is very, very soon. So why I keep looking at the ground, of course, is that when a leopard walks along the ground, it leaves a footprint. Same as you do when you're on the beach, or when you're walking along a sandy path, you leave a footprint, and these leopards do exactly the same thing. Now there's a tree just behind me here that we often see leopards in. Hello, Angelo. We've seen those impala, and you're wondering if there's a difference between the gazelle and the antelope. Angelo, there's a big difference, but the most obvious one is that we don't actually get gazelles here. We only get antelope. And I mean, the differences are not very big. For example, in gazelles, both the male and the female will normally have horns. In antelope, it's normally only the males that have horns. The gazelles, the only gazelle that we get in this country lives in the dry areas. And in those dry areas, there's very little water, so they're very good at surviving without water. And that gazelle that we get here is called a springbok, and it's actually our national animal. But we don't get them here. Alright, let's head across to Tristan while I try and find these leopards, and if we're very lucky, I can see tracks of a leopard now. But these are not new tracks. Anyway, let's go and find out what Tristan's got, and hopefully I'll see you again with a leopard.
So welcome back. We've been looking around all over the place for little insects, and we managed to find a really cool little assassin bug that was busy trying to stalk a beetle, but unfortunately my heavy foot managed to disturb it. So these things do happen from time to time. It was perfectly placed, and we were hoping we'd get a shot of the assassin beetle in stalk mode. Like I say, unfortunately it's flown away, so we're going to carry on looking around. I've also been looking around to see if there's any sign of termites that are mounds that are possibly active, to show you guys, to show you what the difference is between all the different termites. But so far none of them are actually showing any termites on top. It's probably because it's quite warm now. You'll find that most of those termites will be inside the mound, trying to stay out of the way of the sun. Now Philip wants to know if we have any dangerous grasshoppers. Hold that thought, Philip. We're going to come back to you now. I'm going to just try to see if Jean-Andre can see this. But on this termite mound, slowly walking away here, is a velvet ant. See if Jean-Andre can see this. But on this termite mound, slowly walking away here, is a velvet ant.
Look at this. We were looking for cheetah, but we found a leopard. Well, Andrew found a leopard for us. Andrew is the guide from Cheetah Plains, and it's my favorite leopard. Her name is Inkanyeni, which means marula tree, and that's what she's sleeping in, and that's how she got her name. She is really fond of big marula trees. And she looks like she's quite full. So she's just relaxing in the tree. And one of the reasons leopards like to sleep in trees is they're a little bit out of the way of a lot of the biting insects. There's a bit of a stronger breeze, and the smaller biting insects will battle to fly there. Hello, Serenity. Serenity would like to know, can you find leopards all over Africa? You can, Serenity. They occur throughout Africa. the only places that you don't really find them is in the truest desert, the driest desert, but they occur throughout the savanna regions and in the rainforests, and they are very adaptable cats and can live in a whole host of different climates, even very high in the mountains. But their favorite type of climate is savanna bushveld, like we're sitting in now, and in this type of area you get the biggest leopards. Now Sadie's wondering if this leopard can see in the dark. Well, indeed she can, but when you say see in the dark, they can see about 8 to 10 times better than we can in the dark. But there has to be some form of ambient light for her to catch. Now, I was just looking around while we were sitting here, and one must remember that the safari is not only about the very big things, sometimes it's about the very tiny things. And I've found on a piece of grass next to us, I'm trying to get him to see his nose, there we go, a little weevil who's eating the grass flowers. Tiny little weevil. Hey little guy. Enjoying some digitaria or finger grass. There we go. I'll put him back on the grass. Now, being on a live safari, you literally never know what's around the next corner. And I said we were looking for elephant and cheetah, and we have come across the exquisite Inkanyeni. So while it's hot, she's going to snooze, and as it gets cooler, she might come down the tree, she might go off hunting. You never know what's going to happen next. Oh, doesn't she look very comfortable up in that tree? Nice breeze keeping her cool. No, I'm not. Okay, there we go. It seems to be, sorry about that, seems to be a little bit loose connection with my earpiece. Hi Ava. Ava would like to know, how long do leopards sleep for in the day? Well, they don't only sleep in the day, they can also sleep at night. On average, they'll sleep for about 18 hours a day. So they are expert nappers. As you can see, even though she is napping, watch her ears. They're always on the move. Well, hello, Rachel and Pam. Rachel and Pam would like to know, how old is this leopard? Well, if I remember correctly, she is 11 years old. And she's got a baby at the moment. His name is Votomi, and he's about 15 months old, so he could be very close around here, or he could be somewhere where she's left him while she's gone off hunting. Naya would like to know, how many babies can a leopard have at one time? Well, normally it's 1 or 2 babies, sometimes as many as 3, but never more than that under normal circumstances. And they would also like to know, how many babies can they have over their lifetime? Well, they're oh, excuse me, I swallowed a fly. That fly just flew straight into my mouth while I was talking there. Okay, I'm back. So they normally only have their first baby at around 3 or 4 years old, and then it's normally called it every 3 years from then they can raise. So they can possibly have 2, and then it's 6, another 2, 8, another 2, 10, another 2. So we're looking maybe 8 to maximum 12 babies over their lifetime. But most of their babies will die when they're quite young. Most leopard babies don't reach a year old. So she had 2 cubs, a female cub and a male cub, and only the male cub survived to be older than a year. So there's a couple of different reasons why a leopard will sleep in a tree, and Bryson was wondering. So one, it's generally a little bit cooler. There's a nice strong wind up there, and it keeps them away from a lot of the biting insects. And another reason is protection from hyenas and lions and other predators. So she's very safe up in that tree. Now she's probably about 20 foot from the ground. So very, very high up in the tree. There's very little that's going to get to her when she's that high. Now, Journey is wondering, do we check on the animals every day? Well, we try to. Sometimes they're difficult to find. So sometimes if she was lying in the grass, we'd probably drive past and not see her. The only reason we spotted, or Andrew spotted her, is because she's up in the tree. But we do track them, we follow their footprints. We would love to check on all the animals every day, but sometimes they avoid us and we're unable to find them. Well, thanks very much for joining us. It's been wonderful having all the schools with us. It's been great to have you. And for the rest of your day, just because Journey's there, Safari and Djuma on the rest of your day and your school day. But from Wiem and myself and the rest of the Safari Live team, bye! Welcome back to all our normal viewers. Isn't this exciting? We're with Inkanyeni, the Queen of the East, my favorite female leopard within our Traverse area. And doesn't she look just magnificent, lounging upon that marula bough? Remember, hashtag Safari Live or questions at WildEarthTV if you want to ask any questions to any of us who are out meandering through the African bush on this wonderful Wednesday. Is it a Wednesday, Wiem?
No idea.
No, me too. I think it's a Wednesday. Maybe it's a Tuesday. Maybe it's a Tuesday. I can't remember. But it is great to have you with us, regardless of what day of the week it is. Sometimes living out in the bush, we do lose track of time. Oh, there we go. Final Control has told me it is Tuesday. For those of you who don't know, my name is Brent Leo Smith, and I have my very good friend and incredible cameraman, Wiem, with me today. And we are very excited to bring you the Queen of the East. Now, hopefully James has some luck in looking for Hosanna and Shongile. And I'm trying to decide now. She's been snoozing here for quite a while. I was thinking about maybe having a dash down to see if there are any cheetah on the open areas, but maybe not. We'll have to wait and see. I think let's stay here a little bit longer. If she comes down and into this grass and we're not here, she's gone, vanished. Okay. She's, as I said, quite high up in the tree, about 20 foot. And she looks exceptionally comfortable. Quite a gusty wind around, but still quite warm. by Djuma, who's a new viewer, and welcome to Safari Live. Djuma would like to know, how long do leopard cubs stay with their mother for? Well, Djuma, it depends. The females generally become independent between 16 and 18 months old. The males will stay sometimes up to about 2.5 years. And so the little girls leave earlier than the boys. The boys just don't like to leave their mothers. Sounds familiar. She is really, really fast asleep. So beautiful. Looks like she's quite well fed at the moment. Now, she has been mating with Quarantine already a couple of times, so it'd be interesting to see at what age young Vutome becomes independent, because he should be about 15 months. So it's not unusual for female leopards to start mating at that time. Quite often they will not conceive even though she is mating. Now, if we look down the branch, you can see a little bit lower there. Oh, there we go, well spotted. There's a skink on the tree. I wonder if he knows that there's a ferocious leopard just above him. But I don't think Inkanyeni would take too much notice of a little skink. But a bit further down as well, you can actually see where she's climbed. You can see the little pieces of marula that have come out as she went up there. And there's some older climbing, so I don't think it's her first time in this tree. And this marula looks like it's full of borer beetles, and it's probably expired. I didn't see any leaves on it. Oh, there's a dove there. You got him, Vim? Oh, where's my hand? There. Yeah, Cape Turtle Dove. Keep the bird list ticking while in a leopard sighting. Also probably oblivious that there is a cat beneath. Oh, tired kitty. So Vutome was last seen, I think, yesterday, but to the north of us and in Coral. And Quarantine was seen this morning in Torchwood this morning, so probably about 900 meters, or maybe a little bit further, maybe just over 1 kilometer from here. Quarantine was seen. It's a similar area to where Vutome was last seen, but it's quite a different day, and we keep watching the weather, and the clouds seem to be breaking up. There we go, you can see beautiful afternoon. And I'm hoping that Inkanyeni does head out on the hunt a little bit later. Hi, Nev. Nev has embraced our birding competition, and Nev would like to know, are we going to count just the first person to see the bird, or every single bird we see for the month? I think it's every single bird, so you're looking at a total bird list, and they have to be live, they have to be on camera for them to count, because we can't just say, well, I saw a lesser spotted flamingo, and if it's not on the camera, it doesn't count. So hopefully we will do that. And Nev's actually made a spreadsheet, which sounds like the best way to do it, to keep track. I think Tristan might be in the lead, but I think for now, but I'll take him on. I'll take him. I've still got the rest of this afternoon to beat him. Tristan says it doesn't count if he's not out and about. Well, of course it does, because the birds he saw this morning while I was not out were counted, and he's just hanging out with 2 birds in the final control. Of course, those birds have no feathers, and they talk a lot in my ear. And they bite, according to VM. VM says the FC girls bite. Anyway, well, I don't think Inkanyeni's going to move too much now. I think we should go do a dash down to the open area, see if there's Cheetah about, and see what else is, and then we'll come back here a little later. So hopefully she'll be on the move then. Bye-bye, pretty lady. So I did mention there were a lot of borer beetles in that marula tree, and Simi, you're spot on. As I said a few moments ago, that marula tree is definitely dying. It should be full of leaves and fruit and flowers at the moment. Aha! More birds. They're coming towards us even. They want me to beat Tristan. There we go. There's a lovely little flock of crowned lapwings. Now they really like these short grass plains. Most of the lapwings do, although they're going to have to start looking for a new area as the grass gets longer and longer. Leaving one station with that one side to Ingrid, 100 meters west, Cheetah Plains Pan. Okay. What other birdies are about? So the small, we've seen the village weaver. Now Heather is wondering roughly how many different species of bird migrate into the area. Well, you've got different types of migrants, Heather. You've got local migrants, and you've got you've got Palearctic migrants, and you have seasonal migrants. So it all depends. So you've got a lot that'll actually come from very far. So a lot of your raptor species, so eagles, falcons, kestrels will migrate from big distances away. Then you have a certain shrike, or redback shrikes, so a couple of shrike species that migrate. I'm trying to now think. Swallows, certain swifts, and then you have your local migrants, like those crowned lapwings and lesser black-winged lapwings, that will migrate in an area looking for ideal grass, specifically grass height, same as the collared pratten calls we've been seeing at Chitwa Dam. So you got a lot of different types of migrants, but I'd say there are quite a lot. Family-wise, probably over 10 families alone that migrate. Oh, windy, not great for birding in the wind. Okay, now we're coming out into that big southern open area in Cheetah Plains. So there could be a cheetah, or there could be lots of birds. So we're about to find out. And of course I haven't seen my good friend Gnormless Gnorman for a while. So, I've spotted Gnormless Gnorman. Wind is seriously blowing today. Norman, are you the only one out here? No cheetahs. No zebras, no ostriches. Just Norman. Now, I always stop and get my binoculars out at this spot and have a good peruse across the open area. What is here? What is here? Looks like just Gnormless. Gnormless doesn't even have any lady friends today. Oh, what's that? It is a cheetah stick. No, nothing happening. Okay, let's continue on. Oh, flying, it's going to come out. There we go. You got him, Vim. Where's he going? There was a comb duck. It looked like a comb duck, but there's something. Oh, there we go. Indeed, it is a pair of comb ducks. Now, it looks like they're two males, both of them. You see that funny large knob on its beak. Now, they used to be called the knob-billed ducks. They are now called comb ducks. Now, that is only there for the breeding season on the males exclusively, and then fall off during the non-breeding season. That's a nice one, not one we see too often. Looks like they're having a little battle. Very cool. Oh, elephant, yay! So, those are two male comb ducks and they're chasing each other. They actually just took off again, flying across the front of us. Now, comb ducks will move between little pans and things like that. And that was two males. Oh, this one's so close for him. Oh, he's landed right next to us. And there's another crowned lapwing, but there's also a... See, there we go. Look how incredible, how silly he looks with that big, impressive comb. That's, of course, only there to impress the ladies. So the females do not have that at all, and like quite a few of the duck species we get here, they are grazers, and you can see them eating the grass and eating the seeds off the grass. They are such funny looking ducks. Oh, did you hear that, Vim? It was the other duck who's a little bit further away complaining. I think this is one of the best views we've had of comb ducks on Safari Live. Lorena is a new bird for her bird list. Well, congratulations, Lorena. Hopefully we can find you a few more today. They are funny looking. Let's try see if we can idle or just sneak, roll a little bit closer. Doesn't seem too perturbed with us. Magnificent. It's so funny looking. Now, of course, that comb is just there to impress the ladies, and that's why it's only there for the breeding season. Well, we might think he looks ridiculous, but the lady knobbills think he looks very handsome. And he's a very relaxed one, and you can see that nice bright iridescence in his wings as he walks past, as the sun catches them. Now, there could be some ladies up ahead at the little pan, and he might not be the victorious duck. The other one might be the winner if that other duck is at the pan with the females. He does look ridiculous. Well, let's go have a look at the pan. Hello, Robin. Robin would like to know what makes a duck and a goose a goose. Well, generally in the geese, they're separate. They have a similar common ancestor, but the geese have remnant spurs normally in their wings that would have been fingers for climbing. And you can see it in a spur-winged goose, it's very prominent. But as far as I know, that is the main differentiate between the two. Now let's have a look. So there we go. Oh, we've got more ducks down here. Different species as well. So there we go. Is that another male comb duck? Yes, it is another male comb duck. Is there a female at the back between the two white-faced whistlers? The white-faced ducks. And I'm trying to figure out if that's a female in between them there. We're going to have to wait for it to pop its head up. Yes, it is! So this is the victorious male, and that's why they were flying around chasing each other. And you'll notice that every now and then there's a flash through screen, and it's European bee-eaters that are hawking for insects above the grassland. And there's also swallows. Oh, there's mosk and red-breasted swallows. Oh, isn't this just stunning here? Oh, so productive today. Now, I did say, you might have heard me scream elephant earlier, and I'm trying to see where that elephant went. But while I go look for my elephant, it seems like James has got an elephant of his own.
I know where my elephant went. It went here, where we are. I don't know where the leopards went, however, and so I'm just going to give up on them and pretend that I didn't really want to find them in the first place. Now, this elephant bull has emerged from the bushes in order to have a conversation with us. Conversation, I hear you say? Conversation, yes, I have to repeat to you, because he came along. There was no reason for him to come here other than for us. We stopped here, and he came wandering through and started eating that signal grass that he's eating there. It's called Urocloa mozambicensis. It's supposed to be quite a nice... I was just reading this actually. It's very palatable, relatively good nutritional value, and it's one of those rare grasses that increases with pressure. And so it's quite a nice grass to have in your area, except that it does indicate that there is disturbed soil. Why am I telling you that? Well, just because I'm pretty much sure that I've told you absolutely everything I know about elephants over the last little while, and I haven't told you about the grasses that he's eating. And he's being very selective. He's only selecting for that one species, the signal grass. And while he is eating, he's eating quite a lot of the structural stuff. He's also pulling them out at the roots and at the leaves at the bottom of the plant. And that's very important, because that's where the good stuff is. I suppose you'll get a little bit out of the seeds, but you know, to get anything out of those seeds, you really got to macerate them. And elephants don't do a great deal of chewing. Just about all other grazers will come and avoid eating the culms or the stalks, and they will only go for the leaves, and he's eating the whole bunch. And while he's been sitting here, I'm just going to talk a little bit more quietly in the hopes that he comes a bit closer. While we've been sitting here, he's probably eaten, I don't know, almost a hay bale's worth, probably. And I say he's having a conversation with us. You can see he's moving closer to us. There's no reason for him to be doing this. There's this signal grass all over the place. I'm convinced that young elephants get bored. And I think they like having a conversation with us. They like having a little bit of an interaction. Just entertains them slightly in the long day of having to eat almost completely continuously. He's now sitting probably about 2.5 meters from us. That's about, say, 10 feet or so. A bit more than that. This is wonderful. So the little leopard cubs, I don't know where they are. We've checked where they were before. They're not there anymore. We will do our best to sort of keep around this area, and I think Tristan's going to come down and have a look for them as well. There's another one off to our right hand side, but I'm not going to go and see at him. I'm just going to wait for him here. Tour pro? I wonder, are you really a tour pro? You say, this looks like a great Ellie encounter. What has been my favourite so far? You know, there have been so many. I think it's easiest just to remember the most recent favourite one. And the most recent favourite one was with a big elephant bull that came walking out of the bush on an elephant path towards us. And I just turned the car off and sat. And he walked to within sort of 1 foot of the front of the vehicle. And then he came and he stood right next to my open door. And he pulled down a tree in front of us, a huge knobthorn tree. I had to move the car forward slightly to make him, you know, because he was going to hit the tree with it, hit the car with his tree. And I say it was one of my favourites because he at no stage indicated any irritation or aggression with us. He did much as this elephant's doing. He came to have some form of interaction that I don't understand, other than to say that perhaps it's boredom. But he was so close at one stage that I could have reached out to touch him, but at the same time I felt no sense of threat at all. Now this chap is quite young. I mean, he's about 20 odd, and he wouldn't pose much threat because he'd probably be a little bit nervous to push home any kind of irritated attack. If I started the engine, I think he'd probably run off, you know, if he was looking for trouble. But he's not looking for trouble at all. See how he's had his little conversation? He's eaten the grass closest to us, and now he's just moving around that way. Let's move a little bit around the corner here. There's another one here, and I just want to see if he's the same age. He looks to me like he might be a bit older. Very glad we found these elephants, you know. There was a stage of my drive I thought those Impala that we saw would be the only things we'd find. Now they're quite close. You may be able to see that I'm on what looks like a road. They're quite close to where we had those 3 male lions on the buffalo kill not long ago. The other reason to just sneak in here is that this is not too far from where those little leopards were. I think he's gone off a bit far. He's gone off in there somewhere, and I just don't want to go and bash around in there when we have another elephant close by. Right, Tristan is out on foot again. I'm going to spend some time with this elephant. Let's go and find out what his plan is from here.
So welcome back, guys. We've managed to sort out some of our little technical gremlins, and we are back out and doing our bushwalk. And as we've come out, we've managed to find some really beautiful grasshoppers. If you have a look here, you can see there's a beautiful, very brightly colored grasshopper. This grasshopper is called a elegant grasshopper, and it is very elegant. Those colors are absolutely beautiful. But while they are beautiful, they are also there to basically warn us that it is not a tasty animal at all. It may contain toxins or is very bitter tasting, so it's warning us as well as all the birds and other predators around here that it's not something that should be consumed. Now, the reason why we stopped here is there were actually two of them. The other one seems to have escaped. I'm going to try to find it now. It's somewhere in this vicinity. But this one that we have here is an adult. Alright, and the reason why we know it's an adult is if we have a look on the back here, you can see quite long wings that are extending out of the abdomen and down over the thorax there. And those long wings signify that this animal has gone through its three-stage life cycle and is now ready to breed and to be an adult grasshopper. And so it's out in the open, and hopefully it will attract some sort of a mate, and they will then be able to mate. Now, the other one that we had, which I'm just trying to see where it's gone off to, because it's quite interesting because you can actually see the difference. I don't know if Jandre, if you saw where it went, but it was somewhere here. It was hopping around on the grass in the same bush. But the other one was actually the nymph, so it had very much smaller wings, and you could see quite clearly that those wings were very underdeveloped. So what happens with this grasshopper, as it grows, it's got to molt to go under physical changes to be able to then be an adult, and so the wings only start to grow as it molts, and so the wings on the other one were very, very small. But we seem to have lost it. This is what happens on bushwalks sometimes, particularly when there's a bit of a breeze. A grasshopper jumps, catches that breeze, and then off it goes. But anyway, really, really beautiful grasshopper, and hopefully, like I say, as I go, we'll find the nymph. I actually think I saw it jumping here. There we go. It's right here. I'm going to try to see if I can get hold of it for you. Now, I know Jamie had some trouble yesterday with grabbing a grasshopper, and I seem to be in the same boat. But there we go. Alright, so now you can see there are the wings that are very much smaller, and oh, see, there it goes again, and it's jumped off. So that will be what we term a nymph. It's a little grasshopper that hasn't really gotten to an adult yet, so this one won't be mating just yet. It will still be having to go through a series of molting phases where it will get larger and develop a little bit further to be able to then reproduce. Very, very cool. Not often that you see the two of them together and that you can actually see the differences between the two. This guy is fairly active. He actually when we first found him, he dropped quite a big pile of dung, and so maybe he's lightened the load, and that's why he's so frisky and jumping around all over the place. I think he's feeling much better about life now that he's a little lighter, and so since he's dropped that, he's been all over, but jumping everywhere, so maybe that's the secret. Now, we're going to try and sort of head down quarantine a little bit and see if we can maybe pick up any sign of the cubs and help James out a little bit. That's a really good question, Michael. Michael wants to know, do some of these insects show colors or aposematic coloration to fool other predators into thinking that they are poisonous even if they're not? So yes, there are quite a few, particularly in the insect and butterfly world. It's called mimicry. And so what happens is the animal, or let's say insect, will mimic that poisonous insect that looks like it, and they will have the same colorations, and so the predator sees it and thinks that it is that poisonous or distasteful insect and then leaves it alone. So there are quite a few species out here. We'll try and see if we can find some. The one that comes to mind immediately is an African monarch butterfly. So there is a type of butterfly called a diadem that mimics it, so we'll try find them. They are quite common here. There's also quite a few blister beetles, CMR beetles that get mimicked as well. So yes, insects do often use coloration of poisonous insects to deter predation. So like I say, we're just heading down towards the bottom of quarantine, towards Philemon's Dip area, which is like a little riverbed section. Now that's an area where the cubs for Karula have been spending quite a lot of time. I know James is in the area trying to find them, so we thought while we're on foot we might as well go and have a little look and see if maybe we can spot some tracks for him. We'll try and walk along that riverbed a little bit and just see if there's any sign of these two leopards. Given that it's quite hot today, it's often a really good place for leopards to go and hide out. They like those kind of shady banks of the riverbeds. It's often really nice plants there, or trees that they can lie under or lie in, and so a really good place to go and look. Also this morning we had audio for a leopard around Philemon's Dip that it sounded like an adult, so it could be that Karula is actually there and the cubs have joined back with her. So that's what our kind of plan is at the moment. So far we haven't really seen any sign of those cubs or the tracks of them, but I'm sure we'll be able to pick up something as we go. Besides that, we're going to be looking for any signs of, like I say, insects, lots of spiders. So Nev is reminding me that I'm 4 birds behind Brent. This is not a good situation at all. Brent will be insufferable if I lose to him. There is quite a big competition that goes on between Brent and I when it comes to birds. Generally he does win, but I think on this one I really have got to pull up my game and try and beat him. The problem is that he's ticking off the birds quite quickly this afternoon, and given our technical difficulties that we've had on bushwalk, it's been a little bit tough to catch up. But don't worry, Nev, we are going to catch up and we are going to give Brent a run for his money. There's only so many birds Brent knows, and so we should pass him quite quickly. He unfortunately has only got a limited knowledge of these feathered friends, and so it shouldn't be too tough for us to actually find more than he does. So we'll definitely on the lookout for them, and hopefully we will be able to surpass him by the end of the sunset safari. Like I say, it's a little bit tougher on the walk. Tend to come across fewer birds, but we are quieter, which means we can sneak up a little bit, and hopefully we'll get quite a few of them live. Now while we're walking through this area with all these big trees, this is a really good place for a lot of woodpeckers, so I'm trying to listen out for any signs. I'm just going to tell Jean-Ray just to be careful of the termite mound behind him so that he doesn't fall. We don't want our cameraman on his back. That won't be the best situation. And so yeah, it's a really good place for woodpeckers, and so listening out for them. They often make a lot of sound with their drumming, so that's a really good thing to look for, and all these marulas should be attracting a few birds. But while we look for some birds to try and catch up with Brent, we're going to go back to James. I believe he's got some very pretty little impalas for you.
Very nice impalas indeed, the same ones we stopped at a little bit earlier with the kids. And I'm just stopped here because I want to just try and get a lay of the land. They're an excellent warning system, of course, when you're looking for little leopards. And I don't think they look in the slightest bit stressed out by life. They would alarm call, even at small leopards, but they look completely relaxed now. They're also rather good looking, and they're in excellent condition. Since the rain has come, they've all got shiny coats, putting on muscle, and of course they're now preparing to go into the rutting season, which won't begin probably for the next month or so. There they are. Now we're going to go back slowly towards where those leopards were. We might be lucky, we might not. If they're not there anymore, I think I'm probably going to give up and see if we can't find something else. In the meantime, just Craig, on the tree ahead are 2 little oxpeckers that have seemingly forgotten that they need to be living on impala in order to eat, or they've had enough and they're now going to go and find a spot for the evening. It looks like it's either a sort of dad and son, or perhaps a mum and son. It could even be a dad and daughter, but it's definitely an adult and a youngster. You can see the youngster has no coloration on the beak whatsoever. Now what else is interesting here is that if you look at those 2 birds sitting up straight, they're preening their feathers, which all birds must do at the end of the day. You can see that they are almost exactly the same size. The juvenile is slightly smaller than the adult, but really, if you were to put a red beak on it and give it some yellow eyes, it wouldn't look any different from the adult, bar for a very small, sort of a very slight difference in size. Now that bird would have been born this year. Now what I'm going to do is quickly check on my bird application under ox for oxpecker, and I want to tell you what day that bird fledged, and you'll probably find that it fledged from the nest around